You look at like, I want to do a holiday party this year. And I watch people go, okay, I'm going to do a holiday party. This is going to be great. And they send their email out, having a holiday party. And, oh, right, everybody's going to want to come. Everybody's going to want to come. This is going to be great. We got the event going on. And I'm not getting any responses, though. Nobody's RSVPing. Why is the event's here? And I only have like so many people on the list. But it was okay. I did a holiday event. But we very easily could look at that and go, I don't understand how those work, so I'm not doing holiday events next year. I'm just going to take that off. That was a waste of my time. It was a waste of my energy. Didn't really make a good connection with people. Or you can say, no, I want to figure this out.
Welcome back, everyone, to Life at 10 Tenths, where we inspire you to live at the pinnacle of your ability and purpose. As always, he is Garrett Fry, I am Matt Pinelli, and we are excited to have you here, guys. Welcome to a new year. I know we're a few days in, or a few podcast episodes into 2026, but here we are, 2026, and we hope that you guys are ready and already starting to make progress on your goals. If you are still noodling around and figuring out how do I want to build this plan to execute this year, we have an incredible on-demand business planning workshop for you. You can go to 10tenths.co/GPS and find all that there. And I want to highlight too, a lot of times, Garrett, and we've talked about this with business planning, sometimes people get nervous about really putting pen to paper and saying, hey, this is what I'm going for. But one thing that we found over years and years of helping people with plans and also doing them ourselves is that the plan sets you free. Those things that you're like, oh gosh, I just don't have the time, or I'm struggling with this, or I'm feeling overwhelmed or burned out and all these things. The plan helps you solve that problem. So whether you guys go through our planning process or another planning process, or you figure it out on your own, we really just want to encourage you guys to just have some sort of plan, and it can be simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. We just want you to have a plan, and that's why we offer you guys our on-demand workshop. And if you complete a plan through our workshop and submit it to us, you get to join us completely complimentary for our quarterly masterminds. First one's actually going to be at the time of this being released, Garrett, I think tomorrow, which is going to be really exciting. We're really excited to have everybody in and see just progress. So good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. I'm excited that we get a chance to jump into another topic today. And yeah, for all of you who have not been able to pull a business plan together, don't wait too long. This is a golden time for you right now, that if you're sitting here listening to this and you're like, I still don't have my plan put together, you can very quickly get into a space of, oh, well, let's just go. I know how to do this business. Let's just push forward. And you're always much better having a plan. You can do this with any time you've ever traveled, and all of a sudden you're like, I'm going to go to Mexico. And there's one thing to jump on a plane and just get off the plane in Mexico and be like, well, I'm here. And so I've accomplished my goal. I'm showing up. But at the end of the day, if you can have a list of things that you want to accomplish, do with the time you're there, how much time you have, what your availability is, you can make it an amazing trip. And that's what's at your fingertips still right now. So let's do that. Matt, so topics today, the topic that we were noodling around here beforehand, trying to figure out where we want to go. This keeps coming up for us. We watch people that are entering their business. They're trying new things out. They have stuff on their plan where they're like, I think I want to do this year. I think I want to lean into this. And as they start to lean into it, as they start to experiment with it, there's that little voice that comes up in their head that's just like, oh, I don't know. And they start overthinking it, and they start getting stumbling. We'll just use video right now for a second. Let's say you have video on your business plan to start doing some social media videos. Sounded like a really good idea when you were writing your business plan. And now all of a sudden you're like, and I actually have to execute. And you do one of them. And it feels clunky and awkward. And you're like, I don't like the way I sat. I don't like the way I looked. Does my hair really look like that? Is that really, oh gosh. And we just pick ourselves apart, and we have this little voice in the back of our head that goes, maybe this is a bad idea. Maybe it's a bad idea. I'm not sure this is the route I want to go. And what we're talking about here is that it was your first time. Your first time is clunky, it's awkward, it's weird. You can put this in any scenario that you want to have in your life. And then as we move forward, you start to, you get a rhythm going, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, I understand how this works. I understand the areas that I, fell down in. I understand where I can make changes to. When it's to video, it's like, oh, my audio sounds so bad. Yeah, that's because you need to put the mic higher up. Simple fix. Do it that way. I've done it where I've had a tie hanging over the top of the microphone. I'm like, microphone's on, looking pretty good. And it's like, yeah, but we didn't collect any audio, or it sounds like you have your hand over the thing the whole time. You learn and you grow. And then there's the 10th time you do it. And I have found, Matt, it takes about 10 times of really kind of working through things, finding out what the loopholes are and where you want to make changes. And even at that, you'll get blindsided sometimes. But we can't make the decision whether we're good or bad at it off the first time. And that's what we want to talk about today, is the difference between the first time and the 10th time with any system you're adding in your business.
I love this because it's incredible to watch people do this, because they'll do something one time and then they'll compare it to somebody else who's been doing it many times. And they'll be like, how is that so easy for you? Right? Like, I don't understand how you're able to manage that and handle that. It's like, well, I've just been doing it a long time. And video is a good example, because people will, we talk to a lot of people about video and they're like, but you guys, you're just so natural. Like, you get it. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, at this point, I've been doing video now for over 10 years. So talk about first time versus 10th time, first year versus 10th year doing something. Garrett, we've done what, 800 almost podcast episodes. So when you do something the first time, because this isn't even about not doing it at all, because there's some people who are just scared to start. That's a whole different thing. But like, after you do it the first time, you can't judge yourself. If you judge yourself after the first time, you're going to slow your own progress. And this gets into committing to follow through 10 or beyond, depending on what it might be, right? It could 10 times. When you think about simple things, Garrett, like the 10th time you write a contract, right? The first time you write a real estate contract of sale, you're like, oh my gosh, there's so many things I got to pay attention to. Like, well, what if I mess up? What if I do this wrong? By the time you've done it 10 times, you're pretty good. You're like, I got it. I know what I need to do. You've developed your systems. You've developed your little cues and your reminders of, oh, make sure I read this part. Make sure I do this. The first time you put a sign in the ground, to sell a house, like it doesn't go in right. I don't understand. But the 10th time you do it, you got it figured out. And Garrett, I think there's it's a mindset thing. And there are some tools and tricks I think that we can help kind of highlight for people to help them get through that, 1 to 10. Because once you get over 10, then you're starting to learn and figure things out. You've retrained your brain a little bit.
I was thinking the simplifying this process. Anytime you've had a new lockbox introduced through the MLS and you're like, I hate this lockbox. I don't understand how it works. I can't get this thing to, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I get it. Oh, this is actually kind of nice. This one works, way better. It actually gives me data and information. Like, there's things you learn. You can look back to riding a bike when you're a kid. And this is where I was thinking about this as you were talking about, is that if you treat a lot of stuff in your business as you're learning and you're growing, like the first time you ever rode a bike as a kid, it's a little bit different, because when you're riding a bike as a kid, all the other kids are riding bikes and everybody's kind of riding by, and you were like, I got to figure this out. Like, I want to figure this out. But we all crash the first couple of times. We all, are so focused on the front wheel that you watch your child. I know this because this happened. You watch your child just slowly start to drift off right towards the bush. I don't know why they're always heading towards like a bush or a parked car or something, but just drifting away. And you're like, pick your head up, look around, like you're going to crash. There's things you learn along the way, but there's a lot of us that would hit the bush and then take the bike and throw it off into the bushes and say, I was never meant to ride a bike. I don't want to ride a bike. This is stupid. And I'm just going to go do something else in my business. And this is how we grow. This is how we learn. Like, this is how we become better. And I think the thing you need to stop and ask yourself is, what level do you want to also go to this? Because for a lot of kids riding a bike, that's that first ride you go out on. A lot of it is just to ride a bike. I want to get from here to here. I want to ride to the end of the street. The freedom that you have when all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I am farther away from my house on my own than I have ever been because of this transportation that I've figured out. And then you figure out you can go to the edge of town. I know when we were kids, like, I don't think my parents knew how far we rode our bikes. But I mean, we were like the next city over, riding our
There were no
bikes.
GPS trackers back then. They weren't sticking air tags on you to figure out how far you're going.
Nobody knew. And so this freedom that you got. But then there's also, like, I remember my friends that it wasn't just about riding across town. All of a sudden they were trying to figure out how to get up in the mountains and go down the trails. And then there were like the ones going like, I want to build the jump in the front yard. And then there was the ones that were building the huge jumps up in the hills, going like, we're going to go to that level up there. And when they first did it for the first time and they built that big jump and they crashed on it, they had a choice to go, this is dumb. What was I thinking? Like, this isn't safe. To the other side of it of going, why did I crash? What could I do different? How can I improve upon it? Because at the end of the day, I want to do that. I want to make that happen. And I think it's really important when we talk about the first time to the 10th time out with anything you're doing in your business. There has to be an element of a bigger picture that you're working towards. If you're just doing it just to do it, oh my gosh, you can take the bike and throw it in the bushes really fast and be like, whoa, why? What am I doing? This is dumb. Am I just trying to do what John next door is doing because he looks like he's having success? Or do I see a bigger picture of who I want to become, what I want to create, where I want to go? I don't think enough people take the time up front, especially with things in business sometimes, to go, what is the bigger picture with it? Is it just finding another deal? Or is it an identity that I'm building this business around? Is there a bigger picture here that I'm creating? If you know that, it's easier to stay on the bike.
Yeah. Well, particularly if you are saying, this is something that's going to help me get to where I want to go. If I really learn how to ride a bike, I'm going to be able to get across town. And I really want to get across town, right? And you'll get back up and do it. I think with the first time, Garrett, as well, it's important to look at that and approach it in the right way. I think a lot of people will approach the first time of doing something as if they need to get a certain result out of it. And they're thinking a lot about themselves, their own feelings, and all of this stuff. And like, well, if it doesn't go this way, then it's not going to work. If I don't figure out how to ride this bike this time, then it's never going to work. And instead, I would encourage people, use the first time as an opportunity to experience it. Yep. Whether you're, okay, I'm going to go do video, I'm going to try door knocking, I'm doing my first open house, experience it. Just put yourself into it. Look for the joy in the experience because you're going to learn. Like, that's all you want to get out of it, is you want to learn. Oh gosh, I found out when I lean this way when the bike's falling down, I actually will continue to fall down. Like, if I turn my handlebars, like the bike is going to it's going to turn. And if you focus on the experience, you'll actually get the learning. It's like, I noticed when I turned, it gripped that way. So if I don't do that, maybe it won't do that, and I'll try that. And so then you go into the second time and you take a little bit of the, okay, I want to experience this, and I'm going to apply this thing that I'm learning. And then the third time, experience more application. By the time you get to the 10th time, now you're just tactical. You're like, okay, I know I can do this. Now it's all application and trying this thing and that thing. It's like, oh, I noticed that the microphone's sounding a certain way. Well, let me try this now because I'm totally cool with, I know this is something I'm doing. And now I have the encouragement internally in my own brain to figure out how to make this work better. And that's the beauty of, once you get to the 10th time, you may not be perfect. You may not be anywhere near perfect, but your mindset has now shifted into, this is something that we do, and we're going to continually work to improve it. So I think that's an important mindset shift along the way, Garrett, is we just have to acknowledge, hey, let's just focus on the experience when we get started, because that's going to allow us to shift into that application phase.
Well, I want to go back to knocking on doors for a second, because I think it's, and by the way, I'm not going to sit here and try to tell people that you should be knocking on doors or anything like that, because that is.
But it is interesting. It's a great example, because people will say oh, I can't believe they can do that. How do they do that? It's like, well, I bet it has to do with the number of times.
I'm awkwardly good at knocking on doors. I am totally okay saying it. I have had the door slammed in my face so many times over the years when I was actually building a business that way. I mean, I've actually put together a fair amount of transactions going and knocking on doors. And it's interesting is that I had to experiment a lot of different ways, because when I was initially taught to go knock on doors, I was taught to walk up, introduce myself, give them a little piece of information, and ask them if they're thinking about buying or selling in the near future, and if they have something that they would use to help them buy or sell their home. That was my first approaches, and those hurt. They hurt for me to say. The response that I got from the people was they were annoyed. They were frustrated that they even answered the door and were having to deal with me. They would point to the sign that said no solicitations that I maybe didn't see. And they're like, bah, like, didn't you see the sign? But
how dare you?
So it's like, I've had those experiences, and people will ask me, they're like, how in the world do you enjoy knocking on doors? And I said, well, I learned very quickly. My number one goal was to get somebody to cross the threshold. I wanted them to walk on the front porch with me, and you can only do that by gaining their trust. I can't be selling, I can't be pitching anything, I can't be doing any of that stuff. So that's my number one goal. How do you get somebody's trust, and how do you build a connection with them? You ask them questions. That's what you do. And it's not questions about what your intentions are there. It's more questions along the lines of like, I saw that you guys have a drift boat in the side yard. Like, did you guys fish? Like, what do you like to go fishing for? And where do you like to fish? And that's the stuff that all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, like I've had that boat for years, and we typically go out for salmon, but we don't get out enough. And where do you go? And you just start asking these questions. And what I found is that the minute that they would walk out the front door, over the threshold, on the front porch, that was my moment that I was like, I don't want to take too much of your time. I really appreciate just you being willing to talk to me real quick. Thought I'd give you a little piece of information. I'm going to be in the neighborhood. If you ever have any questions on real estate in general, love to chat with you, love to share my thoughts. And I would have their name. I would have shaken their hand by this time, which again, that's something you usually can't do when you're out just knocking on doors, pitching your services. And I would leave. And I would come back a couple months later, and every bit of me was hoping that I was going to get a chance to talk to that person again, because I was going to talk about the boat on the side yard. Those are the people that would all of a sudden go, hey, can I ask you some questions? Like, I've been thinking about it since you were last here. And then all of a sudden we're having a real estate conversation. And this is the place that knocking on doors can work really well. It took me time to figure that out. It took slam doors. It took me going like, that was about as awkward as it could possibly get. And what I will say is like, we have to have the bigger picture of what are you trying to accomplish. I had 2 6-month-old babies back home. Both Sarah and I, leading into real estate, were unemployed. I had lots of reasons to make this work. I had lots of reasons to say, I have got to figure out how I'm going to make real estate work. And this is a system that I know will put me around people right now because I didn't have a database. And I'm going to do everything I can to do it in a way that I'm going to have success with it. I'm going to be able to engage with people. I'm going to be able to build my database. And the option of failing with it was zero. There was no option of failing with it. Jocelyn and Celeste were not going to accept Dad not being willing to go knock on doors. I'm just going to tell you that right now. So again, I think you've got to have this bigger picture of what you're trying to grow. You have to have the want to go do it. It can't just be, this is what other realtors do, and so you've got to have a bigger understanding about why you're there. And then learn and fail and learn. And this is where we go back to video, Matt. I tell everybody, you want to get good at video, start recording with no intention of making them go live. Just start recording, try the microphone, different spots, cameras, different lighting, what works best. Is outdoor better, indoor better? What do you feel more comfortable with? Are you comfortable going and standing in the park with other people around and talking to the camera about how cool the neighborhood park is? Or does that just make you want to crawl into a hole and be like, I don't want to be here anymore? Well, don't film there. Go do something else where you can get more confidence and comfortable. You got to get to the 10th, to the 100th time, to the 1,000th time. Like, what episode? How many episodes have we recorded, Matt? We've got to be upwards in the range of 900 episodes, 800 episodes.
Well, I think we're approaching 800.
All right.
I think we're approaching 800 total. I mean, either way, it's 8 years, right? We've been doing this for 6, 7, 8 years. So that's a big range, 6 to 8. But anyway,
we're about 8 years into this, and people go, you guys just seem to flow. You and Matt just seem to flow. Yeah, we've done this for a little while.
Well, and I think the way you approached the door knocking was the first time you did it wasn't, I need to get this result or this doesn't work. Because even if you have a bigger picture, if you're approaching it with, if this doesn't work, I have to go find somebody else. And this is where you find people who will just do the first time over and over again with different things and be like, oh, it doesn't work. I need to do something else. Oh, I tried that. It doesn't work. Hear it all the time from people like, oh yeah, I tried that. That doesn't work. How many times did you try it? Oh, once. And it didn't work. It's like, yeah, it doesn't work the first time because if you're looking for results, that's the problem. You went into that door knocking experience ready to just experience what happens. What's going to happen when I ask this question that I think feels pretty awkward to me to say, but hey, this guy told me that it works, so I'm just going to do it. And you did it. You did it even more than one time. And the experience was, this is not working. But what I've learned is that if they don't want to talk to me about that, would they want to talk to me about something else?
So here's something I learned with door knocking that, I mean, obviously I went, knocked the neighborhood, started to meet people. Sarah and I came up with a brilliant plan where we're like, all right, we're doing this for these two little girls that are in our lives that we've brought in this world that we need to be successful. And we're like, what if we brought them into our marketing? And so all the marketing that went out to this neighborhood was like, if it was home improvements, it was these two cute little kids. I should find all the photos. They're great postcards. But all the pictures of these the little girls in pink overalls holding paintbrushes and hard hats on. And the whole postcard was about home improvements and what you could be doing to up, the value of your house. When it was Halloween, we had them with pumpkins and they were like literally holding on to big pumpkins because they were about as big as the pumpkins. And we put those out. And I'll never forget when we tried that for a couple months. And then I went and knocked the doors again. I got to this one house and I strategically went for my walk, knocking on doors with the girls, the double stroller, like me cruising through the neighborhood, going and knocking on doors. And I'll never forget this lady. I opened the door. She opens the door. But that would be weird if I opened the door. She opens the door. Don't do that, by the way.
Anybody home?
Hello, realtor. So she opens the door up and I start chatting with her and she goes, you're the guy with the babies. And she looks over my shoulder. She goes, are those the babies? I said, oh, those are my girls. And she turns around and she goes, Harold, the babies are here. The babies are here. And she runs past me. And as she's running past me, she goes, if we ever have to buy ourselves, believe me, we're using you. Like you're the person we're using. We love everything about you. Knocking on doors. Like that was a young farm that I was trying to figure out and trying to connect with. And these were all little things that when I was walking away from going, as we continue to do this, this is a viable system. I'm enjoying it. I'm out walking with my kids. The energy that I got off that person, let's make more of those. That was amazing. Let's do that again and again and again and duplicate it. And now all of a sudden, guess who loves knocking on doors? Who has no problem doing it? And yeah, even with that, even with those days happening, I saw somebody almost pop the glass out of the window slamming a door so hard. And just kind of got to go, yeah, well, that was exciting.
I think that highlights, too, the beauty of sticking through it from the 1st to the 10th to the whatever time is that while you may not enjoy that experience of the first time, you're like, that did not work. Sometimes you might enjoy the first experience. You're like, well, this was amazing. Awesome. Like thumbs up. But you may not enjoy it. But that doesn't mean that you won't enjoy it as you evolve how you do it. But you have to get to, and we chose 10th. I mean, it's kind of an arbitrary number, but in a lot of things, once you get to 10, like tie your shoe for the 10th time.
Well, we are life at 10 tenths. I mean, it's appropriate, Matt.
Yeah, there's a lot of 10s in our world.
Okay.
And then someday you'll be able to take it up to 11.
There.
Because that's what our amps go up to, even though we're living life at 10 tenths.
Why 11? Because it's louder.
And we're loving life. It is louder. And so like what we really want to encourage you guys to do is like approach that first time with that mindset of the experience and then follow through. Do the next one. Do the next rep because you will get to that 10th time and then you'll be that person where people go, how do you do that? I don't understand how you manage that. How do you handle all of these things, right? I mean, and this then amplifies to the bigger things in life. You see the family with 5 kids, like, how do you manage 5 kids? It's like, well, I mean, once you kind of have 5, you don't have a choice and you figure it out and you got it, right? You got the 10th time of taking them to the grocery store. You figured out how to buckle them all in the car appropriately and all that kind of stuff.
I like it with twins. How did you guys figure out twins? Well, you really don't have an option. Like, it's not like, oh crap, I can't do this. Like, this is, who was thinking this was a good idea?
Yeah. We didn't choose this necessarily. And I think that's the beauty is like, and kids are kind of the fun example because, with twins, you had to figure it out. And there are things in our life where we just like, yeah, I figured it out. And so if you're looking for validation, find that thing in your life that existed where you had to figure it out. And from the first to the 10th time, it completely changed. That is the same thing with those things you put into your world that you're like, this is something that can help me grow my business, but you don't, quote, have to do it. That's where you need to approach it with this open mindset and be like, but I am going to do it. I am going to follow through with this because I know that if I get to 10 plus, I'm going to be able to figure this out. I'm going to be learning the things that I need to do to adjust, to make this thing work, to produce results in my business, in my clients' lives, in the lives of the people around me. And it's going to be amazing.
So just for fun, so if I look at like a listing presentation, the listing presentation is like having a baby, right? It's one of those, like, we don't really have a choice. We're going to figure out how to do listing presentations. And so you do it the first time and it's awkward and it's weird. I remember my managing broker, Mel Atkins, came along with me for my first one. And I sat there and watched him do it while I was kind of like there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like what am I doing? Like, I don't even know.
How can I do that? Yeah. How do you do that? Well, done it for a while. So you don't really have the option. Like, if you're going to be in this world, I got to figure out how to do listing presentations. I need to figure out how to do buyer consultations. I've got to get better, and we do get better. We learn and we learn better questions to ask, better ways to engage with people, better ways to figure out where they're trying to go. And some of us take longer than others. But it's not I don't want to do this, so I'm just not doing it. Now, an event, you look at, like, I want to do a holiday party this year. And I watch people go, okay, I'm going to do a holiday party. This is going to be great. And they send their email out, having a holiday party. And, oh, right, everybody's going to want to come. Everybody's going to want to come. This is going to be great. We got the event going on. And I'm not getting any responses, though. Nobody's RSVPing. Why is the event's here? And I only have like so many people on the list. But it was okay. I did a holiday event. But we very easily could look at that and go, I don't understand how those work. So I'm not doing holiday events next year. I'm just going to take that off. That was a waste of my time. It was a waste of my energy. Didn't really make a good connection with people. Or you can say, no, I want to figure this out. And what works better? Oh, you mean I should have a paper invite go out as well as an email? Oh my gosh, look at the response I get when I make a phone call and invite people in person. Oh, and then follow that up with a text to remind them of, like, oh yeah, hey, just want to make sure it's on your calendar. So looking forward to seeing you. Now, all of a sudden, when I had 50 people on the invite list, I had 45 people show up. Like, that's a very different turnout. We learn and we grow and all of these things. But now, again, an event is not like one of those, I need to figure it out, or I'm not doing this business. It's a total choice. Video is one of those things also. You don't have to do video, but also don't give up on the first time saying I'm not good at it. And that's the place I'm wanting everybody to go into with this new year and your business plans and things that you've put on your list that may be pushing you outside the box, building your limits out here right now. Remind yourself, is this my first time? And if it is your first time, just be like, yeah, it might be really clunky and awkward. And you might look back at it and go, that is not at all what I wanted that to look like. At which point, the coolest part is it's your business, and adjust it and make changes and figure it out. Because that's the fun part of business, Matt. For me, that's like crap, that didn't work. I agree. Yeah, I think just don't use the excuse like, hey, I did it once and it didn't work. That doesn't mean it doesn't work. It just means you only did it once. Exactly. And that's all that is saying. Now, maybe you get to the 10th and 20th time, you're like, I don't like doing this. Like, I figured it out. I'm going to do this other thing because I think I'm going to be better at that. Great. Fantastic. You now have data that you can use to make an educated decision. But I implore you, don't do something once and then say, oh, didn't work.
Yeah.
Not enough application, not enough data. And it just isn't true.
To wrap this up, if you want to have some fun with this, if there's anybody you look up to with anything that they're doing, look up Tony Robbins. You can watch Tony Robbins on stage today and what he puts together and how he shows up. And everybody's just like, okay, that's one of the most polished speakers, best energy, brings a room of 3,000 people together. you can go find videos of Tony Robbins when he was younger, when he was just getting into this. They are out there. They do exist. They're a little harder to find. And you're going to be like, oh my gosh, that's not the same person. That's totally different. You can go find a realtor in your industry where you're like, oh my gosh, how do they get so good at videos? And if they've left them up, go back and look at the early ones. I know realtors right now in my head that I know the videos they're putting out right now. And I remember the first ones they put out where I was like, congratulations, you did it. Like, you did it. Like,
you can see, dude, my first video, it was like, wow. It was, looking back on it, I'm like, ooh.
But like, there are all these learning curves that we all go through, and I encourage everybody learn and grow. And there's so many things we can be good at if we just take the time to say, okay, what could this look like, and am I willing to put in the time? So with that being said, thanks for joining us on this journey today. The difference between the first time you do it to the 10th time or the 100th time, as Matt said, 10 is kind of a little arbitrary, but learn, grow, figure out if it's something you really want to be doing. And there's so many cool things you can do in this business to grow and build your identity in this business and build your own personal business. I will say, don't do it all. Because there's so many things that you'll never get good at anything, but pick the things that light you up and go have some fun with it and figure it out. With that being said, if you haven't done your business plan, come check us out for that. You can go through it at your own pace. That is still up and available right now. Just go to 10tenths.co, that is .co, and you can find us there. And if you're looking for a group, an amazing group of people that you can surround yourself with and grow with, we have the 11 circle. You heard us talk about it kind of through the episode here. We talked about, crank it up to 11. That is where that came from. There's a reference in there if you happen to catch on to that. Might chuckle a little bit, but it is a group of people that are just pushing it up a little bit higher. They're trying to figure it out, make it be the best they can possibly be. And we walk alongside all of them to make sure that they're getting to where they want to go. And that is our group coaching level. So go check that out. And we also have our inside track. And if you want to come join us in that area, we have content we put out every single day. You can sign up for that if that's something you want to do. And not only with signing up for that will you get great content, it's a very easy way that you can support us and this podcast and what we're doing. And then the other option you have is you can go onto YouTube. And if you haven't subscribed on YouTube, it doesn't cost anything. A lot of people think it costs money to subscribe on YouTube. Nope, just go on there, click the subscribe button. All it will do is alert you when we have new content that comes out. And again, very much helps us in the audience that we get a chance to get to. And it's one of the easiest ways, as I would say, you can do a direct referral or you can hit subscribe because it actually throws our feed into other people's channels when you do that. And want to say thank you so much to you, Matt, to the audience. And we will be back soon. Appreciate everybody. Have an amazing day.
Take care, everyone.